Hello, everyone. So today we are going to talk about first-time home buyer, how to purchase the house, how to actually get the down payment ready, and how to actually choose the right home, designed specifically for first-time home buyer. All right. My name is Longley, and today would like to share with you all of that information, and that is the proven path that I have used. First of all, myself, and also many other immigrant first-time home buyers as well, to actually save smart and buy right. So I'm excited to share with you this information. And before I start with the presentation today, I just want to emphasize one thing is this. You are not alone. And the reason why I say that is just like you. I came to the US after 6 years of waiting for the documentation process to be completed. I know some of you may be more lucky than me, only like maybe 2 years or maybe 1 year, right? But for me, it was a 6 months long. And by the way, I was 16 at that time. And by the time that I'm ready to come to the US, I was 20 years old and 6 months, right? So this is such a long process. So please put in a comment below to tell me, how much time does it take you to finish the immigration process to come to the US, right? So just like me, when you come to, when I'm sure just like me, when you come to the US, you come in right away, you work really hard, right? To build a better life, to get a job. And you know what? Thinking about buying your house. That is actually one of my biggest milestone when I come to the US. And I'm sure because you are attending this webinar, that is also your dream. Now, it can feel very overwhelming, especially when you are new to this process, you are new to this country, right? So I want you to know this. I truly understand those challenges because I've been there myself as well. And I want to share with you a little bit of my own story when I first came to the US, right? So this is just a story when I came to the US in 2019. I started working at Marshalls, a department stores, for those of you who don't know, because it's not very popular. I think TJ Maxx is more popular. They are actually the same company under the same parents company, right? So I want to live in the US, and right away I'm thinking about working because I was 20 years old in 6 months. I came here without anything, and literally anything, because my sister actually had to buy my airplane ticket for me, right? I also My mom also gave me another 2,000 to help me with buying my car. I live with my aunt, luckily rent free, all right, at the beginning. And she was also the one who introduced me to, to the line of work in Marshalls. As a department store, I work as a man in the man department. That means I, organize the floor plan, not the floor plan, organize the floor. I make sure that the clothes is hanged and the stuff go back to where it's supposed to be. Back then, because I was a engineering student in Vietnam, so in Vietnam, I don't know if you're aware, but for those of you who focus on engineering degree, English is not your priority. In fact, I got like 2 or 3 out of 10 every single test, English test in Vietnam. So my English is super super horrible. But I came to the Marshalls. I met with a lot of friends and a lot of coworkers. I'm very shy to talk to them. Okay. Now, one day, I met a pregnant lady, and she was asking me, "Where is the maternity section?" For those of you who don't know, maternity is closed for pregnant lady. But back then, I don't know. I didn't know what that meant. I know now, by the way. I didn't know what that means. So But I try not to be like embarrassing myself that, hey, this guy, like, you don't know things, you don't know English, right? I feel very bad that I cannot communicate with her fluently. So I asked her, is it for man or for woman? She's a little bit shocked, a little bit surprised when that question from my mouth, right? But then she look at me and she understand and she like, okay, she finally pointing to her belly like maternity clothes, and I finally realized that that is for her, right? Uh, and from that moment, I make a commitment that I have to learn English. I'm going to practice every single day. I'm going to talk to my friends. I'm going to talk to my coworker. I'm going to talk to my boss. I'm going to talk to my teacher. I'm going to talk to my classmates. Because this is such a great environment for me to learn English for free. It used to be very expensive for me to learn English, and the environment is not that great. So why wouldn't I do that now? So I make a commitment for myself and I follow the plan. And fast forward 5 years, because of that commitment, I was able to graduate as an engineering student with a GPA of 4.11. Yes, you heard it right. 4.11 is more than 4 point typical GPA standard, right? And I believe that without that commitment, without that plan, I cannot achieve such a huge goal. And from that moment, I think, okay, everything could happen if I follow the plan. Now, the reason why I want to share with you that story is this. Similarly, buying a house, you need to have a plan. But sometimes, because of sometimes because it's such a complicated process, you feel, and then some, and especially with immigrant buyer, when you come here, you kind of over careful about everything, and then you I try to analyze everything, and for that reason, you become analysis paralysis. There's so much information. There's so much information. There's so much mistake that you feel to make, right? And then you become analysis paralysis, and you cannot process any information. That because you misprioritize the information. Okay, this is actually the biggest challenge many buyers, especially immigrant buyers, face. It is not about lacking of money. It is not about lacking of credit, because I believe that since you work hard, you do have the money. Since you work hard, you don't want to lose the money, so you do have a lot of good credit. The analysis paralysis caused by the misprioritization is the key. You get overwhelmed by conflicting advice, right? For example, you go to Google and they give you like 10 different pages to show you the process of buying a house. You ask ChatGPT, it may show the same or maybe additional step. Whether it is correct or not, you are not sure. And when you ask someone who already is a homeowner, and they say something else as well. So there's a lot of information for you to process, and you are afraid of making the wrong choice. The whole thing right here stop you from moving forward and list you and result a missed opportunity. Now that is a cost. I want to talk about the cost a little bit. If you when you look at the survey between this is one of the survey completed by National Association of Realtor. This chart tell you the difference in net worth between homeowners and renter. This chart show a huge gap because on average homeowners has 43 times net worth than a renter. In other words, when I look at that, the renter only have about 10,000 in net worth, but the homeowners already have 430,000. So it's a huge gap. Now, you know what the worst? The worst is, look at this. When you look at the previous year and 2019, right? This gap has been growing. This gap has been growing. If 2019, the gap is only about 280, 2022 is already 380, and 2025 is $420,000 different. The net worth of the renter pretty much doesn't change by time, but the net worth of the homeowner keep increasing and increasing every single year. So that what you are losing if you keep renting, if you keep continue to rent. Of course, there's more pros of owning a home as well. And for the scope of this webinar, I don't have enough time to share with you every single one of them. But this is one of the biggest loss to the renter, to the tenant who continue to rent every year. So here's my point. You don't have to do anything, right? You just have to execute your plan one step at a time, and you will achieve it. Remember the story about how I achieved graduate as a master in engineering that I just shared with you after 6 months, after 6 years in the US. I complete that because I execute my plan. I execute every class that I supposed to do. I execute every semesters that I have to do, right? Buying a house is the same. If you want to achieve the goal, just focus on one step. Just focus on execute one step at a time. Some of you may ask, Long, it's very easy for you to say, but what is the plan that I should execute? And I'm glad that if you have that question in mind, that is exactly what I'm going to share with you next. This is the 7 steps to your success. And I call this the magical home buying method in 7 steps. All right. Step 1 is actually gathering your team. This is very critical, because especially if you are first-time home buyers. Okay. Because this is a complicated process that you should engaging who already have the experience, who can help you out. And I'm not talking about your cousin, right? Or your friend who already bought the house. This is the team of professionals who do the work full time, who can give you an honest answer to tell you whether you are ready to buy a house or not. And not just a salesman that always forcing you to buy a house. This is a team of real estate agents and loan officer who can get you the answer, yes, you are ready. Yes, this is the right house for you. Yes, no, this is not the right house for you. Yes, this is the right loan program for you. No, you shouldn't borrow any more money. Those are the people who you should trust. Okay? After you find those teams, you gonna start with the saving. A lot of people mix up because they tend to save for the down payment first. But yes, you are right to save for the down payment. But here's the thing though, because you don't have someone who check for you how much you should save, how much is enough, how much is too little, right? Some of you may spend years to spend hundreds of thousands. And by the way, I'll share with you in a second as well. I thought at first that I had to have 100% cash to be able to buy the house. That's not true, right? If you save $200 and $300 and $400,000, it could take you, who knows, 15, 20 years, and you never be able to buy the house. That's not how you buy a house in the US, right? So some of you may mix that because it's important. I understand that. But remember, this is a key for you to follow and then overcome the misprioritization. Okay, so the second step is to start saving. And I'm gonna talk with you in a little bit on how to do that as well. Okay, next, after you have the saving enough to cover your costs and enough for the down payment, now you can talk about a loan option. This is the time that you actually talking to the loan officer and find out exactly what the detail of the loan programs that you qualify for. Should you do the first time home buyer assistance or not? Should you do FHA versus conventional loan? If you are military, if you are veteran, you can also do VA loan as well. Plenty of options for you to choose from in this step. Next, when you have the saving, when you have the loan options ready, that is the time you're going to go find houses and choose the perfect one for you. All right. The first 4 steps out of the 4, I believe this is one of the most exciting part of the process, because you actually see the product, right? Not just a conversation, but you actually see houses. You actually have the chance to to discuss whether it's the right fit or not, right? Now, talking about the right fit, what happened if you find the one? I'm glad you asked, because that is where we are going to step 5. Is when you find the right one for you, if you feel everything is right, you need to discuss with an expert, with a team of agent and a loan officer that you committed to work with before, and ask them for their opinion about the value and make the decision about how you want to negotiate, right? That is step number 5. After that, if offer is accepted, then it's a long 30 days, okay? Minimum of 3 weeks, maximum of 30 days, 45 days. If you do mortgage, to go through the inspection, to go through the appraisal, to go through the loan application process, and get the deal closed. Now, your journey doesn't end there, okay? Even at a closing table, your journey, even after getting the key, your journey doesn't end there. It's actually have one more step left to actually help you building wealth in the US. You actually use the house generating extra income, reduce your tax liability. Those are the things will be discussed in this section. Now, these are the 7 long process, okay? 7 long steps. For the scope of this webinar, I won't have enough time to present to you all the information. And it's gonna get very boring as well if you spend here like 7 hours me talking alone, right? So in today, that's the reason why in today, we're gonna focus on expand your saving. Step number 2, how to find the down payment correct way, and how to choose the perfect home for you and the family. Okay? Of course, I don't want to leave you here feeling mad about me, like, Long, this guy doesn't teach you anything. I already have the down payment. I already know how to find a house. I want to find something else, right? The whole 7 steps can be found in this bio guide right here. So if you really want to jump ahead of the information, just feel free to scan the QR code, get the bio guide sent directly to your email, and then read the information. You don't have to wait for me at all. All right. But for those of you who decide to stay, let's jump right into the first step. This is the second step in the 7 in the biomagical home buying magical home buying method. Okay, but this is the second step, which is expanding the saving. Okay, now before we get into the detail of this, I want to share with you a story. Again, this is also a story of myself. Okay, so back in 2000, when I came to the US, I told you my mom actually, give me $2,000 to help me with a new car. New to me, right? I bought actually a Toyota 1995. Okay, and I drove that for 6 years when I was in college, in bachelor, getting my bachelor and master degree. And as you know, I am never afraid of it breaking down in the middle of the road, because Toyota can run forever, right? However, after graduation, you know, I was able to get a job right away. Okay, I was like even before I graduate my master degree, I was able to get a job offer at one of the best medical device company that I've been follow for the last 6 years, um, at $66,000 a year income. I'm excited, right? That is the most amount of money that I could make compared to all the 24 years or so of my life. Except I didn't make that yet. But anyway, my mind think, okay, this is how much I'm going to spend to make within a year. So why not go buy a car, right? Because I've been driving an old car for so long, 6 years already. I deserve, buying a brand new car. So I asked my friend, his name is Ngaya, he's a mechanic, and see, hey, Ngaya, do you want to check out the house with me for fun? Oh, remember, I just used the word for fun, but in my mind, I want to own another car. So he suggested me to go to Lexus instead of Toyota because the Toyota is, just so. Even though I used that for the last 6 years, but he was able to convince me to upgrade, a huge upgrade to a Lexus. It's funny, I still remember that I drove him with my Toyota, very old car, and I drive in Bell Road, right? I drive on Bell Road, and I saw a Lexus dealership. Like, oh my god, my whole 6 years, my whole last 6 years, been seeing only like school building, right? Or maybe Marshall building, not seeing any other buildings before. So I feel like, oh, this is a very nice building. And in my mind, immediately think we shouldn't drive to the dealership. So I told him, let's just park outside. Let's just park outside and walk to the dealership. He laughed, but he agreed to my plan. So we both walk in, and my plan got ruined because of the car salesman, right? We walk in thinking, okay, we're just gonna, look around and go home. Sorry, I have to drink a little bit. This is the beauty of doing life, right? When your throat cannot talk, you have to stop and then drink water. Anyway, so she convinced me, and I did sign an agreement to buy a 65,000 brand new 2019, I'm sorry, 2015 Lexus. If you don't remember, I'm gonna recall a little bit. I got the job offer at $66,000 a year, but I decided to buy a brand new car at $65,000. And by the way, that was just a job offer. I didn't even work yet. Right? Hey, did I tell you that I also have about $200,000 student loan to take care of? That is combination. Luckily, that is a combination of my wife and myself. Okay, $200,000 student loan in debt. If you do the math, it's like $66,000 a year income is here, and the total amount of debt is all the way over here. Obviously, it is a bad planning. It's not a good planning at all, right? Luckily, later, I learned from my mentor, who is also my scholarship sponsor, that is not a good plan, and we follow the plan that I'm going to share with you today, right? To get rid of the car, to get rid of the debt, and become debt free. And I think that is the foundation for all of my success. The foundation of all of my success. Because I believe that the savings are the roots that nourish your home ownership tree. Without savings, you don't have a good root system to grow, to develop, right? Without saving, appropriate saving, your dream home could become the nightmare because you will be stuck with a high monthly payment, with an endless maintenance cost when you become the homeowner. Because when a salesman talk about the benefit of owning a car or owning a house, a lot of them don't talk about the downside. For example, the maintenance, right? Never a comment. I haven't heard of the comment. A salesman told me that the Lexus part is more expensive than the Toyota part, and even the labor is also expensive. So my expense doesn't end there, even though it's already the worst, right? It's already bad, but it is continue damage my financial situation. All right. So similarly, buying a house, owning a house is just a start. Even when you receive the key, the cost doesn't end there. It's gonna last forever as long as you own the house, right? If not the mortgage, that's the maintenance. If not the maintenance, that's the cost of renovation, right? A lot of things could happen. And if you don't have a good saving habit, you're not gonna be able to get to the right house. You're not going to be able to enjoy the dream home, but you actually have a nightmare. Okay? So some of you may ask, how? What is that? What is exactly the steps that you did, I did, to save money? I'm glad that you asked. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you today. This is the 5 steps to save for your down payment. Okay. Number 1 is to find the income. Know exactly how much you earn on the monthly basic. Okay. This is the total monthly income of your household. So if you have one spouse, combine the income together. Funny, I use one spouse. Yes, combine your spouse income together if you have a spouse, right? If you're living with your parents and they're willing to share all the expenses, family expenses together, combine the income as well. Now, some of you may ask, what if I don't have a W-2 income just like me, right? Engineering income is W-2, so it's kind of stable. So what if you are the business owner and you don't have the stable income, and this month you have more than the other months, and this month you may have less? Good. Then do the average of the last 12 months and use that as a total income. Now, one thing I have to note, this has to be a take-home income. Okay? Because I know that also as a business owner or maybe even a W-2, the amount on your paycheck is not actually the one that you can take home. You may have to pay the medical expense. You may have to pay the tax withhold. You may have to pay, insurance, a lot of things as well. And for business owner, you may have to pay for your business expense before you can take some of them home. So that is going to be step number 1. So make sure that you get the take-home income instead of the gross income. Okay. After you find out the income inside, this is required some time as well for you to understand the expense that you spend on the monthly basic. Similar question. Some of you may think, what if they are not the same? Great. Then just do the average of the 12 months. Okay. This is the time that you need to spend and look at the last 12 months, document every single detail of expense, subscription, monthly dining out, vacation, how many trips, how much you spend, every single detail in categories. Okay. And so that we know how much you spend on a monthly basis. To do what? Because after you know the income and you know the expense, the budget is the next thing you need to to do. And you need to discover, you need to do the budgets in a way that obviously the total income take home more is more than the expense that you spend. That is the goal. That is the key. To do what? The first goal is actually saving for 1,000 emergency fund. A lot of you ask me, why 1,000? I can come up with that today by asking my parents to give it to me, but that's not how you do it, right? That remember, the key is to building the saving habit in your own. So if you don't follow the process, even if you have the down payment already ready by your parents, great. I still encourage you to go through the same thing, okay? The same 5 steps to get the 1,000 emergency fund and the down payment later, obviously. But let's step back a little bit. The 1,000 is not too much, and then causing, worriness in you, causing the delay, and you feel like it's too much for you to achieve. Therefore, you're gonna give up, right? It's not that big, but it's not a small number for you to be able to complete within a week, right? The reason is that when you start budgeting, you will know, if you haven't done budget before, okay, then you will find out that your expense most of the time is higher than the income. A lot of people like that. And I'm sure if you haven't been having a good financial habit, you will facing the same situation. Okay. The 1,000 is nice because what happened, the other thing happened some of the time is, okay, you are on the right track to save for the down payment, and then you have an emergency. For example, you have a car accident, or maybe you need to, pay for your son's tuition fee shortly, and you don't have the emergency fund. You have to dig into the down payment, and then it become, not achievable, right? So the 1,000 has a lot of benefit, has a lot of uh, uh, reason to do that as well. Okay, after you get 1,000, you're gonna start building up your down payment, and I really recommend the 5% down payment. Some of you may be able to do less, maybe 3%. Okay, maybe even you don't have to do anything because you already have the down payment prepared by your parents. I still encourage you to save at least 5%. Worst case scenario, you don't need that 5%. You can still have that as a bigger emergency fund, and therefore you will be able to survive if bad thing happen, even more better. All right. The other question I also have is, how much is the 5%? Right? This is exactly the reason why step one, remember this is a step 2 in a 7-step, right? Step 1, you already have the conversation with the agent. And if you don't know the answer for the 5%, let's come back to the agent and ask. Normally, if it were me, I'm gonna ask you the question about the house, about the area that you like, and use an average, give you an average number for that type of house in this location, and you use that number to calculate what is the 5%. Very easy, right? It is going to take time, okay? But I encourage you to do so as soon as possible to show this will be not just giving you the down payment, but also creating a good financial habit for you to follow now and in the future. So to get started today, your homework is to track every single dollar that you earn and spend. Okay? Start tracking and start budgeting with intention every single month. Okay? That is the to-do today to be able to achieve for the down payment. Okay? Now, the second thing that I want to talk about today is to choose the perfect home. I think this is a lot of people also, waiting for this step, because I actually have because with the information, like a lot of information nowadays, it's very easy to get access to the house. But what is the right way to check out the house, and why? Why do you have to have the right way to check out the house? To be able to answer that question, I'm going to share with you another story. Right. In 2016, okay, after my graduation, after I got my job, and by the way, that year is the year that I'm getting married. We've been planning for the two weddings. Yes, you heard it right, two weddings to the same lady, by the way, and one in Vietnam and one in the US. So we were very busy, but we also decided to buy a house. The reason is this, right? Before getting married, right? My mom and I live in an apartment paying the rent of the lot. My fiance back then and her mom is also paying rent on an apartment. So if we don't buy a house, that means when we get married, we are going to find another apartment. So that's three different rent payments that the four of us have to pay. So it doesn't make sense. So we decided to go buy a house. But back then, I don't know if I told you, but I thought that, I had to have 100% cash to be able to buy the house. Because coming from Vietnam, where people buy houses by cash, they used to be, have a big grocery bag, black especially, right? Then they put all the money inside. Make it look ugly so that no one knows the money inside, right? Anyhow, that's what I thought that people have to do every country, but that's not the case in the US, right? You can have the mortgage. I didn't know that. I didn't know a lot of things about the home buying process. Even for a clear criteria, I didn't have one neither. The only thing that I have in mind is it must be less than 250,000 and is closer to my workplace, because I used to live in Chandler and the company that I got the job offer is in North Phoenix. So it took me about 35 minutes, 40 minutes with traffic, to go to the workplace. So the goal is to shorten my travel and buy a house when I buy the house. So after a couple of weeks searching, couldn't find anything. We finally go to a community. It's called Taylor Morrison, Morrison Ranch. Morrison Ranch. Okay, beautiful neighborhood with grass, with trees, and then as we come in, there's a tree lines through the neighborhood. Beautiful. It's still short back then, but I visioned that okay, eventually it will grow and providing shade. We came to the motorhome, fell in love with that right away. Decided to sign the contract the next day. Okay, until we actually told my parents about the house, about the lot on the same day at night, and they asked us to take them there to see the lot. That's fine. I'm driving to the lot, and then all of a sudden, there's a very bad smell. There is a very bad smell that when we open the door, we see the very bad smell. So we're like, what is that? What is that? We find out later that it is actually the house, the location of the house is actually very close to a dairy farm, which is the area that you guys call East Mark nowadays, that we call East Mark nowadays. It used to be a dairy farm. So the smell has been there for years that we didn't know. We didn't know that we had to check out the information before we make the decision. So lucky for us, we cancel the appointment the next day and choose a different area. Okay. So my point is this. You have to base on your criteria, the criteria actually, and the routine that you checking out houses are actually compass guiding you home. You have to rely on those two things, the routine, the criteria, and the routine. Okay, it's not just about the criteria, but also the routine, the schedule, the process about checking out houses will help you go home. Okay, so what is that routine I'm talking about? Great. First thing is to clarify the criteria. This is the one that you need to know exactly what you must have and what is the nice to have. This is the distinguish of the two lists. Get a clear understanding of the two lists to be able to follow exactly what is a must have, right? And if it is violating completely against the must have list, you shouldn't consider that at all. Just like us. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you the location of the Morrison Ranch is actually further away from my workplace. So that violating my must have criteria, but I still do it. So that's not the right decision at all, right? So you have to follow the must have criteria. Right? By the way, I'll show you a way very easy for you to create this checklist in a moment, okay? Next step, after you have a must have list and a nice to have list, right? Make a commitment to yourself to check out houses every single day. Every single day. And yes, you heard me right. Every single day. And some of you might say, Long, I really don't have time. I'm very busy to check out houses every day. Well, here's the thing. I don't require, I don't ask you, I don't suggest that you go see houses in person every day. This is mainly like, okay, you look at the product, maybe during your lunch, maybe during your family dinner, a little bit to understand the product, to follow the trend of the things happening in the real estate. Because here's the thing, it's very easy for you to get sidetracked if you don't make that commitment, right? And you forget about the goal. And then you come back to, become working as a renter, just like you are right now. So as long as you do that on a daily basis, you will be able to, keep the commitment, keep the momentum going and going and going. Okay, that is, you don't, and by the way, you don't have to do that in person. You can do that on the Zillow app, on the Realtor app, or maybe from the email that your agent set up to send it to you, right? Very easy. And talking about seeing houses, only make a commitment to check out at least once a week, right? You don't have to go that every day. If you can, that's great. And if your agent can accommodate that, that's even better, right? But if you cannot go check out houses every single day, you only have to do that once a week. Once a week, check out houses. And some of you may ask, what if I don't have any house to see in person? Great, check out the neighborhood. That is a great opportunity for you to check out the neighborhood to see whether this is the right neighborhood for me, for your family or not, right? If not, then if there's a house come up in that neighborhood, don't even bother. Add that to the not must-have list, right? Don't consider the house in this neighborhood, right? Those are the things that you can do on a weekly basis, okay? On a monthly basis, make a commitment to yourself to make at least one offer, because that will refresh your mind about how the process, how you look at comps, and what is the appropriate number to put an offer, what kind of strategy, what kind of negotiation that we can have. Even if you don't have the real house to offer, to ask your agent to practice that skill with you for one house, okay? And then that because of that discussion, you will be able to remember everything about making the offer, okay? Last but not least is a calibration meeting. After 3 months and you haven't been able to make a real offer, not be able to see the house in person, or no houses that was the time for you, something wrong. Something is not right there. So you have to have a calibration, look at all the the actions that you took, the action that your agent do for you for the last 3 months, and then re-identify the things, make a new plan based on the information, right? Do you even maybe set a new criteria during that meeting. Maybe, revisit the house that you didn't feel like you like it, and come up with an idea to make to see whether it can make sense right now or not, if that is the best choice, right? The calibration meeting is very, very important. Okay. Now, for today, I would love to ask if you can't define your must-have and your nice-to-have list. This will be the second foundation, the second pole in the building, in achieving your goal, buying the first house, right? Very important list. And if you don't know where to start, here's the thing. Here's the guide right here. Okay, like I said, this is the buyer guide. It will have all 7 steps that you can read. It will have a lot of detail about the 2 steps that I present today, as well as the worksheet that you can download for your suggestion. Okay, for the suggestion list of the must-have and the nice-to-have list items throughout the house inside here as well. Okay, today I'm glad that we are able to talk about how to save for the down payment and how to select the right house. We go over the 7 steps to achieve your first home ever, the home buying, the magical home buying method, right? That give you a clarity about how to prepare your finance, as well as confidently choosing the right house. If you want a personalized help, you are more than welcome to schedule a free strategy session with me. Okay? In this meeting, I will specifically talk to your situation, whether this step of the magical home buying method makes sense to you, or do we need to clarify. I will also going to talk about the closing costs, that you had the total cost that you have to pay if you buy the house. I will also talk about much more detail about the negotiation that we can do to give you the better deal. The meeting is free. The strategy is free. There's no commitment at all. If at the end of the meeting, right, you feel like you talk too much, you have a lot of information, but thank you, I don't want to work with you, that's totally fine. I hope to give you that. I hope that you will have a personalized plan to your family. Okay. As a closing story, I want to share with you a story about Mr. Viet Ha right here. He's an immigrant to the US. He bought a house in 2026, by the way, just about 2 months ago. Now, the special about him is he came to the US, and immediately he wanted to buy the house. He wanted to own a house. He reached out to me, and unfortunately, he couldn't buy the house because one of the criteria to qualify for the mortgage is he has to have a working history for at least 2 years. So he will not be able to do that yet. But after that, we make the plan, right? We make the plan for him to start working right away. Because a lot of people worry about a lot of things, and then they forget about buying a working history, and therefore they would not be able to qualify to buy the house even though the time passed. We make the plan right away for him to start working in the line of work that he actually familiar with, and 18 months later, remember 24 months requirements, but 18 months later, we are able to buy him the first home in the US. So he's determined and to follow the plan that we lay out, help him get the house that they want after only 18 months in the US. Okay? If he can do it, you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it too. And here's the thing. I know a lot of you still in the analysis paralysis mode, but one advice I want to give you this is build your future based on the current information. Okay? Not don't ruin the present based on a future random information. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching today webinar, and I'm excited to share with you everything in our strategy call. Feel free to book a call with me, completely free and no obligation. Thank you. Have a good day.